A big mabuhay around the world, and welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone's doing great out there, and if you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe. I hope where you are, it's bright and sunny. It's the beginning of a new week here in the U.S. I know in the Philippines it's Tuesday, but here it's Monday, and I feel great. I really do. I took some time off, I'm refreshed, and so I'm ready to get back on the air and help you guys save some moolah, some money. Can always look forward to that, saving even a couple of dimes. Hey, it goes back in your pocket, you know? And so what I thought I would do was cover some topics that could help you save some money if you have a loved one over in the Philippines, or you're thinking of moving to the Philippines and how to access your cash over in the Philippines. So I was thinking of how you transfer it. There's many different ways, and also how you can access it. They're a little similar, but not exactly similar. So I thought I'd go over those. Now, I've been down this golden brick road. Can I call it that? I don't know if you want to call it golden brick because you're kind of losing money as you do it. But I've been down this road before, and it's sort of a very tedious, kind of way to learn, but experience is the best teacher. And so when I first met my wife, I could tell that this was going to be a problem. I went to cash an American Express check, and they wouldn't take it, even at the American Express office. They said my signature was a little off, but I had other checks they cashed, but not this one. And that's when I could tell this was not going to be easy, not for the faint of heart. And this process of bringing someone over, even living in the Philippines, you have to be strong, you have to have patience, and you got to have the moolah, the money. You have to do it. It's a long distance game. It's a money game. And so we'll talk a little bit about that as I go through this. And I digress just a little bit because emotions and money with this relationship game, they're intertwined. So anyway, after that, and I figured out, man, we got to try to find a better way of doing this. And so for a little while, I was sending money with MoneyGram. We'll go through that and some other ways of sending it. And, when you're just kind of putting this thing together and money has to go there, and for us, we're planning for our wedding, you're just finding the quickest and easiest way. And that here, and I'll go over here, and I'm sure most of you know this already, MoneyGram, and they really turned out to be the easiest way. Now, I don't really advise on doing the online sending. You can do online sending, make an account and do it. They have a lot of security protocols, and which is good, for fraudsters. And if you send a little bit of money, it's not a big deal. But if you start going over $1,000, like I had to do to prepare for my wedding, it gets to be a little bit of a hassle. Now, this was 15 years ago, so they really didn't have online yet. But later on, when I had to send my wife back for dental work, I tried to send a little online, and the fraud thing came in, and it was just easier to go in person. It's so quick. And because Walmart is basically everywhere. Now, CVS has it too, but I always like to go to Walmart because they're used to sending and receiving money. And man, it's boom, boom, boom. You can use your credit card, but like I found out, your debt goes up. So, you got to think about that. Be careful with that. But, I don't want to be sarcastic or whatever, but you have someone in the Philippines when you get a phone call in the middle of the night going, "Oh, I need help." And I can laugh at it now, but it happens. And it happens not just to people in the Philippines, but everywhere. It's just that it seems to be highlighted more when you have a foreign love or a girl in a foreign country. People always think it's about the money. But and here in the U.S., we send money for emergencies too. I don't know why it seems to be highlighted more, but I got a few of those phone calls. I had to send the money over, and I'll just give you some advice right now. I promised that I would give you some advice. Let me get my face back on the camera here. Try not to get too emotional with it, because the person on the other end is upset for whatever reason. Maybe it's a hospital, maybe it's an emergency for something else. In my case, she had to rent an apartment right away. So, you get all these emotions tied, and then you're kind of like, hey, is this what you're going to use the money for? And as soon as you start doing that, man, the person on the other end is going to get really angry. Don't you trust me? Don't you trust me? Oh, and let me just put it to you this way. If you're engaged to someone or you've met someone and you don't trust them at this point, you got some problems. And, you have to start thinking about, where you're going to go from here. You have to trust somebody at a certain point. And, this is what happens, right? So then you have to figure out how to send it. And I recommend MoneyGram for the quick and easy way. I don't even recommend if you can wait like 5 hours, if it's nighttime. Just go in person to Walmart. I think CVS, like I said, has MoneyGram. Just do it in person. It's so much easier. Then you get the printout and everything like that. But maybe because of COVID, you want to do it online. Maybe it's only a couple $100. You can do that, no problem. Now, I tried to set this up in the Philippines because I had some trouble getting money out of my bank account and also cash withdrawal. So I thought I could send myself money and pick it up off my credit card. And man, they wouldn't have any of that. It was just shut down because they could tell I was in the Philippines. So you get a lot of fraud things going on in the Philippines that you wouldn't get in the U.S. To send to yourself or maybe someone that's with you. It's tough to do that in foreign countries, So that avenue was closed off to me this time, but I really do like MoneyGram for the most part. They're really a good service, relatively cheap, and they can deliver it to the house or to the bank. Now, if you send it to someone's bank account, and let me get MoneyGram back up. I'm not going to go through all the details here. You can do that for yourself, but by and large, right, I have found MoneyGram to be pretty reliable. I've never had a problem with them and pretty reasonable as far as conversion of the money and the sending of the money. Not too bad. Now, there was another outfit out there that some people were complaining about. I forget their name. I'll try to think of it. But people were stealing their money out of their credit cards and bank accounts. So, Western Union, which is the other one, and MoneyGram are pretty safe outfits to deal with. You don't have to worry about it. But we're going to go through how you can sort of send money or, get money out of an ATM and not worry about it too much, right? So, in any event, MoneyGram's the way to go if you have to do something really, really quick. Now, if you are in the Philippines, and when I went there, I was sort of thinking about this, like a year ago. If you are in the Philippines or you want someone in the Philippines to have access to a U.S. bank account, the way to really do that, and I'll sort of get this up, is to really get an extra sort of bank account in the U.S. Now, there are different ways of doing that. You could set up another account at your bank, set up another account with a credit union. Credit unions are relatively cheap, no fees. Some of the major banks are quicker to deal with because they're used to more volume. So you have to kind of figure that out for yourself. But you may pay fees on the back end, right? Now, there are online banks, and this is what we're getting to here. And some of them have pretty good deals. I know that Chase has theirs, other banks, Bank of America, things like that. And I've kind of looked into them. Even though there is a Bank of America and a Chase Bank in the Philippines, you can't go there and withdraw money. Now, Barclay Bank, right, used to have a bank in the Philippines, but no longer. You used to be able to transfer money back and forth. We had a Barclay online checking account. I don't think it works anymore. I didn't know this at the time, but I have a Barclay card, so I thought that would be good, but it doesn't work, I believe, at this point. What I did is I signed up with Capital One. Right before I left last year or a year and a half ago, something like that, I was thinking of a way because I knew I was going to run into this problem of using the ATM and getting whacked with all these fees. So I read about Capital One, and they said there's going to be no foreign transaction fees. And I said, wow, sign me up. And I left everything to the last minute as usual. I got the card, no problem. It took a few days to transfer the first money over from Wells Fargo, but it worked fine. It worked fine in the Philippines too. But the problem was sometimes you couldn't get the cash advances down. Yeah, and so this is the other thing I'm going to tell you guys. Always have cash reserve. I would try to have $500 cash reserve. Now, sometimes one ATM or card will work, another one will. So it's good to have a multiple cards. And so what I was thinking, and I did, is I used to keep a little bit of extra money on the Capital One, and I'd have my main ATM with Wells Fargo, then I have a credit card. And so you can mix and match, and you can always get something, usually. But remember, if it doesn't work in one machine, go to another. And there's also limits on how much you can take out. I always just take out, basically $200. I think you can take out more. But when COVID hit, I was afraid to have my card shut down. So I just took like two and two out from each card if I needed it. But the problem was it didn't work all the time, and they were charging me these cash withdrawal fees still. And, I complained, I called, and they said, well, you're not using the right network. It must be your bank. And other people voiced the same discontent about what was going on. And they said the same thing. But I never got charged for a transaction, like at a restaurant or a mall buying something. So, it all depends. Now, I heard of another one, but I never used it. And that was the Charles Schwab card. And if you set up an account with them, everything's supposed to be free. But I don't know. You can try. They're supposed to refund you your transactions fees after a month. And I've never used it, so I can only tell you about it. I can't really recommend it. But like I said, I did all of that. And for the most part, the Capital One card worked fine. Okay? It's just the fees did go up. And, I was there for like a year and a half. And because of COVID, I couldn't really do anything else. The fees kept piling on, It was really annoying and costly. Now, of course, what you can do is you can wire money. Now, there's two ways of doing that. You can do it through MoneyGram, and that's how the money gets there the quickest if you have to send it to someone. If you wire to someone's bank account, okay, it goes very quickly, whether through your own bank account or through MoneyGram. Those are the ways you're going to save the most, okay? Especially if your significant other or loved one or fiance has a dollar account. I think that would be the cheapest way of doing it. If you go and move there from the U.S. and you open up a dollar account, then you could also cash your own checks there. But you have to have a resident card, or you have to open up in your wife's name. It's difficult to do that. It takes time. They're getting stricter and stricter about this. So, to open up a dollar account takes like 6 months with BDO. It takes a long time. And sometimes, they won't even give it to you. And someone, can vouch for you or recommend you. And so it can be a problem right now. The Philippine banking system is getting increasingly strict, unless you're a Filipino citizen. And even then, it can be hard to kind of, navigate the system. But it's doable. That would be the cheapest way, is to wire money or cash a check into a dollar account. That would be the cheapest, I think, right? So those are all kind of the different options you have available to you. One would be to go to Western Union or MoneyGram. I like MoneyGram. You can use your account to put the money in someone's bank account, and it gets there lightning fast, or send it to them. And you have to be careful of this because of the danger of being robbed in the Philippines. Now, I personally have never been robbed or anything like that, but especially now during COVID, you have to be careful. People are watching the banks. They're watching people leaving areas where you pick up MoneyGram, things like that. You got to be careful, especially now. So if at all possible, you want to deposit it into the person's bank account, or even some banks are partnered with MoneyGram and you can pick it up inside the bank. Hopefully they'd also have their bank account there, so you can just go from one window to the next and just put your money in there. Okay? I mean, even something like $200, is a sizable amount to be carrying around in cash in the Philippines. You have to be careful. Especially now, people are really hurting for money. And I know that, sort of theft is, it's happening. They're robbing Grab drivers and stuff like that. So you got to be careful, So those are kind of the best and safest ways. Now, you could also send a debit card over to the Philippines and activate it once the card arrives, and you could put money on the card. So that would be another way, but you're still going to pay some fees on that, and they wouldn't be able to use it to charge because their name's not on it. Now, eventually when you get married, or if you are married and your wife's in the Philippines, that's not a problem. Or when you do get married, you could just, have the ATM in their name. So then they could use it for charging and stuff like that. But in this case, it'd probably be only good for withdrawing of cash. But like I said, you want to have more than one way of sort of accessing your money. And having multiple, ways of doing that, especially when an emergency arrives or when you need money fast, is the best way of doing it. Now, of course, another way of doing it is to have one of your credit cards put in your fiance's name. You sort of have like another name on the credit card. Now, I don't really advocate that unless you're married because, maybe you've been going with the girl for a long time, but unless you have a very low limit on that credit card, which is possible, I don't know. It depends how you feel about it. And I'm not trying to accuse anybody of anything, but I mean, to hand over a credit card with, a high limit, I don't know. That's kind of up to you. But that would be the other way of doing it. But I don't know if it's possible because you have to give SS numbers out and things like that to confirm identity. I don't know. You'd have to talk to someone at the bank or the credit card. I've never done that because, we got married. And until that time, I just sent money or she cashed a check or something like that. It wasn't that big of a deal. For emergency situations, it was just MoneyGram, But once she got her bank cards and stuff, when she went back, that's what she would use, credit card or bank card. So I know things are kind of, very, very tense right now. And, this might help some people save some money, at least give you an idea of sort of the intricacies of trying to figure this way out. There is no way out. There is no way out. Let me tell you that. You're going to get hammered one way or the other. There's no simple way around this. You're going to have to spend money somehow, some way. And, if you're trying to bring somebody over, it's a lot of cash, man. It's a lot of cash. And you're paying for visa fees. You're trying to help out maybe with expenses over there. And then you might get an emergency expense in the middle of the night. And, depending on what kind of job you have, you'll be like, man, I don't have anything, especially now. My advice to you is listen to your fiance, your loved one over the phone. Listen to what they have to say. Take the details down. Because when you get woken up in the middle of the night, man, you're not thinking clearly. And it's easy to get into a fight. And also with the language barriers, you may not understand everything too. The best thing to do is to take the information down, calm everybody down. Unless it's an immediate need, emergency, you can certainly wait like 5 hours, Now, if it's a hospital thing, wow, I don't know what to tell you. I know that they said the prices in some of the hospitals now for COVID patients are rising. Man, I don't know what to say about that. But, in some other episodes, we can talk about some health insurance. There are some you can buy that also cover COVID, and also talk about a phone plan, because I was listening to one guy on one of his videos, on one of his channels, and Google Voice went down on him. It wouldn't work. They're transitioning away from Google Voice through Gmail, and he couldn't get his text messages for his security codes on his U.S. banks. You might be asking, what about Skype? Skype doesn't carry those, okay? So he found a way to get Google Voice working. We can talk about that, or I got something better for you that we're going to talk about that I've used. It's $20 a month. It's great for emergency situations. And this is mainly to call the Philippines, or if you're over in the Philippines, you can reach people. People can reach you, and you can also get your security codes. So until then, have a great day. Enjoy the sunlight. Put all of this misery and craziness out of your mind and enjoy life. And enjoy your love of your life in the Philippines, the family in the Philippines, and just chill and take it easy. Problems can wait until tomorrow. Until then, God bless. Take care. Godspeed. and like and subscribe. See you later. Bye-bye.